morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's weekly energy boost. My name is Ellie, and I am here. We do this by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah, its ancient texts and teachings, and use our own personal experience in working with individuals over the past few decades, and hopefully provide you with life lessons that you can use any day of the year, anytime in your lives. And this week, it's particularly appropriate, of course, that we're talking about being first versus being second, and why our tendency is to push to be the best and to want the best, because we are still in the month of Leo. This week, we're actually crossing over the midway mark, and the Leo tendency, we all have those Leo tendencies in the month of Leo. That's one of the reasons we learn in Kabbalistic astrology that every month affects all of us the same way relative to our own process. But what that really means is that we can all be a little Leo this month. We can all be, want to be the center of the solar system, so to speak, want to be unique, desire to be heard and understood and celebrated. And we can use that, while it might seem like it's a bit of an Achilles heel, we can use that power and that ability to our benefit. And that's why we're going to be talking about this today. Now, I think you could look at society and say, well, being alive in the year 2022, it's a very cutthroat, time to live. Everybody's out to get everybody else. Everybody is busy taking care of their own and being in a way forced to think of themselves first. So we want to talk about why that is. There's actually a reason that there is that sort of software built into our operating system, and when to use it and when to put it in the back seat and allow others to shine and to radiate their light.
Well, many people might also notice that we have a little bit of testing out some new things. So
if you're watching, if you're listening, you won't notice a difference.
Well, yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. If you're listening, you won't know, but if you're watching us, we're in a different type of studio, and we're testing some stuff out. So bear with us if there are some challenges. This week, as Alicia was saying, kind of turns into a new energy, and it's one that much more supportive from the point of view of the universe, and also one of the gates that are open right now is areas of our lives that are stuck. Usually have to do with the lack of a certain desire to be able to push them across the finish line. And that's something that we're going to talk about this week, that there's a gate that's open for all of us to be able to request and pray to the universe, to the Creator, to be able to open up an area that's been traditionally blocked for us. So that's something we're going to talk about. And I know that Alicia is going to talk a little bit also about the energy of soulmates and the relationships that are available as well.
Most people, I think, perceive, or actually, I've been, if I'm honest, I've been watching different TV shows for fun, not for research purposes. And I know characters are focused on acting and defending themselves. I see that that's a common theme, not only in fiction, but also in real life, where people put up walls and guard themselves, sometimes for really good reasons. Sometimes they have been hurt, or I know a lot of people who watched relationships as a young person. The relationships that were modeled for them were not ideal, were not balanced, were not loving, or there wasn't any evidence given to them as young people that being with another person, sharing a life with another person, is better than being alone. And I think that that's something we need to talk about today also. There is let's put it this way, the Kabbalists teach that the institution of relationships is modeled around the Creator and humanity. And so it's not that here's a great workshop, find somebody to share your life with, and you'll have opportunities to keep your mouth shut, be a good person, give selflessly, and all the other things that we talk about on the weekly energy boost. But really, that there is an opportunity to emulate the life David talks about probably in every other episode, is that the real purpose for each one of us individually in our own unique way is to be like the creator, act like the creator, emulate the creator. And that's why relationships ended, is so that each one of us has the opportunity to emulate the creator, to have someone to give to infinitely, unabashedly, unconditionally. And yet, if you ask, I mean, David, I'm sure with the people that you meet personally, relationships is like the number one plague that that afflicts people in modern times, and it's a source of a lot of pain and suffering and chaos.
Yeah, right now in the Kabbalah 3 class, we're speaking deeply about relationships, and one of the concepts that we spoke about in the first was this idea that relationships have 2 phases, and many people get stuck in the first phase. And the Kabbalists talk about everything that is worthwhile and meant to bring us great pleasure always initially starts with a negative, not negative, but a lower intention. So for example, the intention of most relationships is that person is feeling or fulfilling some kind of need, lack, or desire that you have. And essentially you need this in the beginning in order to be attracted to the person. So we are attracted to that energy that is fulfilling something inside of me. It could be some kind of hurt from the past, something I feel. It could be financial security. It could be this person makes me feel stable or calm or complete in some way. And that's what attracts us to people. Ultimately, however, there's a transition point that every couple needs to go through in order to experience the highest level of fulfillment. And this is what the Kabbalists say. Many different concepts are used, but one is going from what's called a linear vessel to a circular vessel, or going from the reactive vessel to the proactive vessel, which essentially means the pleasure I get from being with this person isn't because they fulfill some lack that I have, but it's actually greater. It's the type of pleasure I receive from being able to create circuitry and to give. So for example, eventually when you're in a relationship, at some point you start to judge, criticize the person, even though they're amazing, and to other people this person might be very amazing. To you, all you start to see is the negativity. And the reason is because you're still stuck in the first phase. You're still looking for what this person can give you, and you've pretty much extracted all the energy you can from this person, and all that's left now is criticism. In order to make that inflection point, in order to have that moment where you enter the next phase of the vessel, you have to rise above what they are giving you or not giving you, and focus more on you can be an unconditional giver. And so then the opportunities come, because something starts to happen and you're not getting what you want. You have to make a decision in your mind to be unconditional and to stop thinking about your vessel in the moment and to think about theirs. Now, of course, in the class we have a Q&A, or when do I think about myself? When do I get what I want? Questions start to come up. But for the transition to happen, a person has to get into the mindset that this is not anymore about me trying to take from the person, but it's about something bigger. And it's usually the type of relationship people have with their children. They're not looking to take something from them. It's a decision you've made now to support another human being in a big way. And that is why the love between a parent and a child feels even deeper than the love that often we have romantically, because we haven't made that decision for our romantic partners yet.
But the question usually does come up in those classes, in those sessions, where people say, well, that sounds like I'm compromising my wants, or when don't I need to be able to receive what I want too?
Right. So this kind of goes to the point of all people who are successful in anything they do must go through this phase of being willing to, in class, it's kind of dramatic, I say it, being willing to die. Because what happens is our selfish nature tries to survive, and it's trying to hold on to whatever it can. So when somebody offends us or doesn't give us what we want in a relationship, or they start to make us feel insecure, we get into survival mode and we start to hold on to everything that we want. So we start to become defensive, abusive, we shut down, we lash out, we look at other relationships, we think about leaving the relationship. These are all defense mechanisms. But let's say when a person's trying to be successful in a business or in their career, there's that moment where all the effort they're putting in is not giving them what they want. Maybe your colleague gets promoted before you get promoted, even though you did a lot more work. Maybe you invested all this time, energy, and money into a startup, and it's not producing the fruits that you want. Or a customer that's been a long-time customer of yours for a long time, all of a sudden leaves you for a competitor. All of these things can feel very rejecting and dejecting. But what do? You say, what does the smart entrepreneur do? They says, you know what? Despite the fact that I'm failing, I don't care. I'm going to push forward and I'm going to double down. The ones who retreat are the ones who aren't breaking into that unconditional phase. And person's running a marathon and they feel like they're dying, but something happens in their mind. They switch their mind and they receive like a new life force to go the extra distance. They're basically saying, I don't care if I die. I don't care if I lose everything. I have to finish the race myself. So all successful people go through that inflection point, basically saying, though my body and my ego says I'm about to everything, and push forward nonetheless and to be successful. And the same thing in relationships.
Well, I think that there's a concept that comes up, whether you're talking about business or relationship, is the idea of competition. And I see in relationships, one of the things that triggers challenges is the fact that the two partners are competing. To me, when I hear somebody when I see somebody getting defensive in a relationship, or if I see it even in, you have two people in a relationship or in a marriage where they feel that their value is so intrinsically tied to how much they produce financially, how much they contribute, that they end up, there is this undercurrent of competition. And in the workplace, maybe more clearly, whether it's with a coworker or with the literal competition, our tendency, for better or worse, is to feel like there isn't enough for everybody. I've got to be first. I've got to be unique. I've got to stand out, or I've got to justify my existence, right? Which is something that comes up in relationships too. Not that necessarily a couple, one will try to outperform the other, but there is an insecurity sometimes where if I don't do enough, the other person will leave. And the concept of competition is I think it's interesting what the Kabbalists say about on the one hand, there is a healthy way to feel good, meaning I can look at someone else who's successful and say, I want to be as successful as they are in what I'm doing, right? Which is very different than I want to knock them off, or I want to, kill the competition or cannibalize their share of the market. Or sometimes I even see couples who try to, even unconsciously, one puts the other one down, maybe in front of the kids or other people, to feel smarter, to look better, to feel stronger. And the Kabbalists teach, sort of without exception, that the only competition with is ourselves, which feels very cliche and very new age and very sort of negate the material world and just be. But the truth is, a lot of the dross that we attract to our lives comes from the fact that consciously or unconsciously, we feel that we have to compete. We feel that there isn't enough. We feel like somebody's going to take our share of the pie. And maybe we can talk about how to take back that or redirect that energy, that desire to be excellent, to not need to be excellent in contrast to anybody else or anything else.
It's such a powerful point, because the one piece we're always giving, obviously to ourselves as well, is when you're not happy and when you're feeling that competition or that lack, it's very important not to take that out on your partner. So many of us, because of some kind of insecurity we have, or something unresolved that we have, or maybe it's some kind of a midlife crisis a person's going through, they start outside about who's going to solve that, who's going to fix that. And it's just like we learned in Kabbalah 1, class 1. When I'm in pain and I feel lack, don't take it out on your partner. Don't take it out on your spouse. Don't take it out on your girlfriend or your boyfriend. If they're not giving you something you want, that is an opportunity that's come from lifetimes of spiritual work, where now you need to be a big boy, put on your big boy pants, and realize I feel lack not because I'm not getting what I want. I feel lack because something needs to heal inside of me. And one of the tools that we give, and this is part of this week's energy, is when I start to feel lack, what do I need to do? There's only one way to overcome lack without being reactive. Because what the opponent wants us to do, look for energy in this world to fill ourselves up with. We're all listening to this podcast or learning Kabbalah because we've learned that doesn't work. And hasn't worked for decades in our own lives. Every time I take some energy to fill myself up, it doesn't work. What do I need to do? And the advice, which often seems religious, but it's actually very spiritual, and it's been the best advice for thousands of years, is a person needs to stop what they're doing and talk out loud to the Creator, to the universe, and basically ask for the light of the Creator to come in and heal. Like, we have to have certainty that because the Creator made us a certain way, the Creator also has the upgrade to the operating system. And sometimes if there's a glitch or an app or a program is not running, it's running a little bit slow, you need to upgrade your system. You need to upgrade your software. The Creator is the only one who can upgrade our software. Not Kabbalah, not Tony Robbins, not Elisheva or David or anybody. He's not going to upgrade your system. Your partner doing what you want them to do is not going to upgrade your system. It's the same system, just with you're band-aiding it. When somebody gives you what you want, you're just band-aiding an old system. It's about talk loud to the Creator, asking for help in your own language, in your own way, and saying, give me the strength not to take this out on my partner, but to grow myself.
There's another concept that comes to mind for me when we talk about that the lack that can be awakened when someone seems to be doing better than us, or has the upper hand, or seems stronger or smarter or ahead of the game. And that is something, actually David brings up Rav Ashlag, but it's something that the founder of the Kabbalah Centre, Rav Ashlag, brings up kind of to explain the part of the challenge of the human condition, and not even necessarily with the solution to it, but just for us to understand we're okay. Like what David was just saying, the same way that we have the glitch or the lack, we also can tap into the patch for it, the upgrade. Yeah. And that is that, many of us have heard that biblical concept that man was created in God's image. The Kabbalists translate that to a different, in a different way, meaning to say that we are basically a piece of the light force of the Creator. Every human on the planet and every soul that was ever in existence that ever visited the planet is a spark of the light force of the Creator. So what that means is we acknowledge there is only one God, Creator, Spirit, some universal force that's behind all of this, but there's only one. And because that is at our DNA, we also constantly strive to be the only one. That calls it the law of unique individuality. That because our spiritual DNA is and singular, therefore we are all driven to be unique and singular, which can stand in the way of being in a relationship that has balance and circuitry. It can get in us working on a team and collaborating with people, whether it's for for work or even a charitable cause or a neighborhood initiative, if you're busy focusing on how you can be unique and the only one, it's going to be really hard to pull together and create something powerful. And so Rav Ashlag says, listen, this is at our core, at our root. This is part of our spiritual DNA, but we can use it to our benefit and to the world's benefit. Recognize that the Creator doesn't compete with anyone. We also are in no competition with anyone or anything. And if you remember that, there was I don't know, when I think of it, and the first time I heard it, I remember there was a sort of sense of freedom that came from knowing that what's mine is mine, and each person, nobody can take that away from me, right? My soulmate is my soulmate, and there may be other universes where they're in relationships with other people, but it's my soulmate, or it's even my gifts, the unique ways that I can express the light within me, nobody can take them away. And nobody has that unique DNA imprint. So I'm the only one that can reveal my light, and therefore I'm in competition with no one. The fact that I may be motivated or driven to succeed, I may look at other people's relationships. I shared this actually once. I met a long time ago. I hope it's not a problem to share it again. But many years ago, I got out of a relationship, and I was feeling pretty much like, what's the point? I don't need anybody else in my life. I can take care of business by myself. And the universe conspired to bring me into a friendship with someone who, to me, was married to her best friend, and they were so in love and so together and so on the same team, supportive of one another, and could be playful and could be serious and it was just everything that I thought relationships couldn't be. And I was so in shutting down mode when it came to relationships. I was able to see how the universe orchestrated them to enter my life right when I was about to shut off that part of me completely, to show me that no, there is this possibility. That doesn't mean I want to be in a relationship with either of those people. It was really just showing me that they have it and I can have it too, and not to block those possibilities and those opportunities.
As you were talking, it reminded me that when a person is looking to fulfill their needs, this is called love. And when a person is looking for the Creator to fulfill their needs, this is called desire. And this is the difference between the two. And obviously, we need to engage with people when we want to give, and we need to engage with the Creator when we want to receive.
Say that again. That was really powerful.
We need to engage with people when we want to give, and we need to engage with the Creator when we want to receive. And often it's the other way around, right? We treat people as an object of extracting energy from them, and this is the challenge that. Eventually, people will reject you if you keep using them to take energy from them. The question always is, are you in a surplus of adding more value than you take? Every relationship that thrives is one where you're adding more value than you're extracting from. This is the secret of a long-term relationship. So really, this is the week that we all need to kind of look at every relationship in our lives. And if there's a problem there, it's because we are taking from them more than we're giving. But I think the challenge also people have is they think, okay, I give means I just do whatever they want me to do. This is not giving. This is pandering. This is actually destroying. If I gave my kid everything, he would grow up to be no self-esteem, disgusted with himself, and cynical of society. It's about being able to care about how to build a person to be independent, to not be dependent on you, which oftentimes is a way we give. We give to people in a way where they stay dependent on us. So we're actually weakening them. All these different secrets, we have to constantly ask ourselves with our friends, with our family, students. I know a question that always we've been asked to ask ourselves with our own students that we meet with. Are we teaching them in a way where they're dependent on us? Or can we exit the picture and allow them to, I know we go see the same. He was gone this week.
I have an appointment with after we finished recording.
I said the whole week was so painful for my back because he was gone. I said, the problem is he's so good. He keeps us dependent on him. We have to talk to him about that. So I was just thinking about that. I'm like, the true teacher finds a way to exit the scene. The true husband, the true wife, the true mom, the true dad exits. He doesn't hang around. And I hear about so many relationships where like the son or the daughter marry and the parents are so involved in the wedding, involved in involved in trying to be in the lives, trying to be the grandmother and the grandfather, but it's too controlling. And so what happens is it's a competition for the attention of the son or the daughter. It's like the mom doesn't want to let go of the son or the dad doesn't want to let go of the daughter or whatever it is. So we have to be very careful that we're conscious of how much we are taking more than we're giving to these relationships.
Before we get into the final piece of the conversation, which is the unique opportunity coming at the end of this week, I want to talk about the opposite situation.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens or what can we do spiritually? When is it okay? I'm kind of asking, when is it okay out for me, right? A person is betrayed or cheated on, or sometimes you come to the realization that the relationship is not, you can reveal more light separate than together, or much collateral damage from the other person that you can't continue. How do you handle that in a light way? How do you heal your heart so that you don't shut down from all of the pain and the hurt and the betrayal?
Well, there's two different kinds of people. There are people who heal intellectually understanding something, from what I've noticed, and there's people who heal who need more of a physical, emotional release. So, and that's two separate. We can talk about both. I will speak just from the concept. The concept is seeing what's the cause of that. We got to go back to the cause. People don't just randomly cheat. If someone's cheating, you could say, well, they had a predisposition to that because of their tikkun, their correction that they brought even from past life, and maybe abuses they went through. So they're more likely to cheat. Really, the question is, why are you more likely to attract a cheater? So that's really what it comes down to. Why are you more likely to attract a cheater? But your friend found their high school sweetheart, and I often talk to guys. I said, what's your desire to cheat? And they're like, there's some guys that say, never even crossed my mind. I don't even have a desire like that. And then there are other guys that say, it's on my mind every day. I don't know what to do about it. So the question is, why are you attracting a person like that? Number one. So,
but pause there. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, right? No, I think that the way you're asking it makes it seem like now the person who's hearing this is going to beat themselves up because they attracted a cheater.
And I'm happy you said that, because people who immediately take what I just said or what somebody said or what somebody would say, anything wrong with me, this is the correction. This is the actual correction of why a person, the abuser. Because the lens in which you look at stuff is automatically that there's something wrong with me. And when someone says something, you'll take it personally because you automatically assume there's something wrong with you. And when you think there's something wrong with you, you attract people who also feel something is wrong with you. And if they think something is wrong with you, they may want to be with you a little bit, but also be with someone else. So what it comes down to is we are totally responsible for the energy that we create, the circuits that we create for ourselves, for our relationships. If something's bothering us, always have to take responsibility that it's bothering me because something needs to be optimized in me. Something needs to be healed in me. So I need to learn a lesson. It's going to be very painful if I just try to teach everybody else these lessons and not myself.
Well, this particular week that we're in there's a cosmic window that opens on Thursday night, which is August, and the window closes, although we still can reap the benefits for another day or so. On Friday night, August 12th. So it's the day of August 12th and the evening of August 11th. It is one of the most positive days of the year on the Kabbalistic calendar. It is the day on which it's the month of Leo, which is controlled by the sun. and the full moon of that month, which means the moon is shining at its full capacity. The Kabbalists teach that even though we may perceive sunlight and moonlight on that day, the light that we're actually being nourished from is from a unique energetic source called Binah, without getting too much into it. And it is a day on which each one of us can recalibrate, realign, tune ourselves up again to a state of balance and harmony that's unachievable any other day of the year. And it's one of those days that the most important way to connect to it is to, right? That just to be able to sit in the sunlight on Friday and realize that you're being nourished from a spiritual source that is defining not only yourself as an individual, but your relationships, present and the future, and to really think about, and I'm sure most of you are listening to this before Thursday night and Friday, you have the ability as we approach that day and as the moon is continuing to fill, right, to fill with the light of the sun in this week, where are the areas in my life where I need to strike a balance, where I am out of balance? And not always easy in the month of Leo, when we tend to see ourselves in a misguidingly positive light, to recognize where we need to be balanced. We touched on a few areas today, very subtle areas like, I think there's something wrong with me, or I feel that my worth is tied up in how much money I make, or maybe I'm excited about my professional life, but I'm tired of my home life, or I dread going home. Those kind of imbalances that we experience across our day that actually are more taxing than they are energizing. This is the opportunity that we have once a year to refill those empty energy stores, to rebalance, right? And one of the things that we talk about in these, in not only on the weekly energy boost, but in all of the classes that we teach and all of the work that we do, is that masculine and feminine energy runs through each individual in different amounts, in different frequencies, but every single one of us has both the masculine desire to share and the feminine desire to receive, like two poles on a magnet or the two poles in the light bulb. And sometimes we burn out because those energies are misaligned. So this is the week that we can everything restore ourselves to a state of harmony and balance. That's one of the reasons there is an opportunity to connect with our soulmate, is because that's another example of the two poles that can be balanced and connected. And when they are, they reveal tremendous light. So we're looking to align ourselves as individuals, as well as in our relationships, whether we're in a relationship right now and we want to strengthen and balance it, or we're looking for the right relationship and we want to be, this is the week to focus on being the person we want to be in a relationship with. David, parting words.
You always do that.
I got to give the kids 30 seconds of David before we sign off.
Just double down on the concept of this week, and especially the next 7 weeks until Rosh Hashanah, which we're going to have a lot to talk about. It's the best way to transform who we are is not to be beating ourselves up and not to be thinking there's something wrong with us. That always begets more abuse. If you abuse yourself, you're going to abuse other people. So the best way to treat other people right, treat your partner right, is this place of resolving the lack inside of you. Stop looking at what's bad about you, because that just expands upon the lack. The best way to change is actually to think there's nothing wrong with you, and to think that you want already. Automatically, your energy shifts and your behavior changes.
And for anybody who want to connect on Thursday night at Cosmic Window, we have opportunities both locally at Kabbalah centers around the world, as well as online. So you can go to Kabbalah.com to find out more information, or you can message us and we will let you know how to connect. The Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You're welcome to follow us on all those platforms and receive more content, more reminders during the week on how to apply what we talk about in every episode. We also have a website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where we often post opportunities and things we think are important for our listeners to connect to. Next week, on next week's episode, we are going to be talking about breaking bad belief systems and how to use this powerful energy of the month of Leo to create breakthroughs as we lead up to, as David was saying, the powerful cosmic window of Rosh Hashanah. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time on the Weekly Energy Boost.